Welcome to another episode of Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped you get off. Today is an open lines episode, and we have for you as a guest Eris from Foot Fetish Poppy, who I found when I was perusing Twitter. Foot Fetish Poppy just really got my attention. How are you today, Eris?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Where in the country are you?
So I am in California. I live in Newport Beach.
Okay. How's Newport Beach today?
You know what? It's really nice. I really enjoy the weather. I know everywhere else in California is currently burning up with like triple digits, but right now we're like at 80 degrees. So I'm enjoying it. Plus my home's right on the beach. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to ask you, I've gone through your page. I know that we have a lot of fetishes that we can go into and start talking about, but I do want to focus a little bit on foot fetishes and stuff. What made you have this popular Twitter page, a good amount of followers, and I'm curious as to what and how and when you started Foot Fetish Poppy.
So I started the account maybe about 3-4 years ago. And the reason that I started it is because I wanted an outlet to my fetishes. I do have a huge foot fetish amongst others, but I've always been a highly sexual being. And, you know, outside of, social media, a lot of my life is consumed by the 3 businesses that I own. And, working in like corporate America, you kind of have to have this air of professionalism, but I kind of needed an outlet for, my fetishes, my kinks, stuff like that. And when I found out that Twitter was a place that, you can kind of just build your own community and keep up to date with like your favorite porn stars and stuff like that, I just created one. But I never really thought that it would turn into what it is now.
Yeah, it's quite popular. You have a lot of people on there. You have you follow a lot of porn stars. They follow you. A lot of people I know and love. Which is always cool. You mentioned the corporate world. You mentioned, an outlet. I've met a lot of people in different avenues of life or different walks of life, predominantly musicians, who end up being some of the most kinkiest people I've ever met in my life. And I'm not talking like, a musician in a band. I'm talking like the symphony in New York,
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's actually really true. If I'm being real with you, a lot of my, I want to say most hot encounters have been from business partners, and they'd be like blue collared men who you never would imagine. Yeah. And traditionally foot fetishes have been taboo, but they've been pretty into it, and a lot of other hot things too. So it kind of opened up a world for me that I didn't really know existed when I started being open about it myself.
So when did you start being open about it? When did you, if we go back, I'm not sure how far we're going back, but when did you start realizing that you had a foot fetish?
I want to say pretty early into my teens. So I started playing football. So I grew up in San Francisco, and I started playing football for my high school. And I think I started to realize that I started getting turned on by just being around sweaty men. And I want to say from there, that's really where it started. I think it was like, I know the smell of the locker room would turn some people off, but it kind of turned me on. And I want to say one day I kind of just experimented with my own like sweaty socks and my shoes. And I kind of got off to that. And I was kind of that guy who would be in the locker room and I would like take a quick sniff of like my teammate's shoe. And honestly, from there, that's just really where it started. I think just being around them. And then the businesses that I own, they are construction, and we have our own locker rooms there. So I was also, working professionally around a ton of sweaty men, and yeah.
Sounds very hot.
Yeah, it is.
Did you in high school, when you were in these gyms in the locker rooms and stuff, did you ever get caught? Did you ever have anybody kind of say, "Oh wow, like that's kind of hot," or ever any engagement from the people that you were smelling their sneakers and shoes? Or
I want to say a few of the guys that I did hook up with. So, well, let me backtrack a little bit. I've always been very open about my kinks. I've never really been ashamed of who I was, even growing up. I think I was always very headstrong. So what I was into is just always what I've been into. So when I did have the chance to hook up with a few guys who were on my team, I would, I would immediately start like sniffing their feet. I would start sucking on their toes, going for their shoes. And they were very much open to it. I think it was new for them, but it seemed to turn them on and kind of set the mood for how things were going to go.
Okay, so foot fetish Poppy, I've noticed, is there a specific foot, a specific design? Because I know that people get very particular about how they like their feet. How would you say you like your feet now, after all this time experimenting?
Honestly, I really don't think that I have like a certain type. I think if I just find the guy hot, it's just I kind of want to immediately just, start servicing his feet or start doing some type of foot play. I really kind of like if the guy is dominant. I feel like if the guy is dominant already, it kind of makes me want to, go for it. But as far as like a certain design, I really don't think I have one.
And the only reason why I bring that up is because my boyfriend has a foot fetish too, and I've been watching. Yeah, and I sometimes watch how he responds to. Well, first of all, summer is like a heart attack for him because everywhere he goes, there's men in flip flops and stuff and slides, so he loves that shit. And one thing that always kind of I get off on, not sexually, just, I'm like, okay, cool, he's having a good time. He'll look at a guy, and then the second thing that he does is look down at their feet just to see what they look like. And in conversation one day, he mentioned he doesn't like when the second toe is larger than the big toe. So that's why I mean, like, what kind of design do you like? What kind of, like, broad feet, thin feet? But you said it might not matter if the person is dominant. Yeah. Hot or dominant.
Yeah. So what I will say about that is I will say that I do take notice of people's feet pretty easily. I do, like, if I see a guy in flip flop, I do check them out to kind of see if, maybe they're well manicured or they just look nice. But I think I do kind of like a more like masculine look to the feet. Sometimes because I do work in construction, men may have like calloused feet or, they're not going to be as prim and proper as maybe somebody on like a porn video may have. But
I've seen some rough feet in porn, so don't.
Yeah. So I really don't watch, things when they're like, I guess, too pretty. I think I kind of like, I don't even know if I can really say a realistic looking foot. I just like men's feet in general. I like, if they're, I guess, broad in a sense, I like, if they have hair on them, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint because I'm just like a foot guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
No, I get it. You don't discriminate. Any foot is good. As long as it's nice as a hot guy. Did you ever experience that? Like, has that ever, I know in like, foot play or fantasy and stuff or sexual encounters, but have you ever had a guy kind of like dominate you in that way? The way you describe,
in the sense of like having me like service their feet.
Yeah. Like, has that ever come about without you kind of prompting it or kind of like you guys both agreeing with it?
Yeah, actually. So I want to say one of the first guys that I hooked up with, I started sniffing his boxers and he kind of seen that I was really into like the smell of like men, and he kind of just told me to get down and start servicing his feet. He kind of guided me through it. And I find that that's kind of hot because I'm 6'1" and I have like a muscular build. So usually like I'm the bigger one, but I kind of like when a guy is getting off to me kind of being raunchy. So yeah, I have been, dominated, and it's probably one of my favorite things to do.
Cool. That's very, very cool. Do you find, that your fetish, right? And this is one of a couple that we'll speak of, but do you find that your fetish is a little more of your sex life than sex? Or would you say it's an equal amount?
Could you elaborate?
Well, when you hook up with somebody, are you automatically going for feet, for instance, or, because everybody has their their thing that they enjoy a lot? Foot play.
Oh yeah, I would say that, yeah. So that's definitely part of my foreplay
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, even if I'm not the one, bottoming, if I am like, on top, I'm still going to try to go for the feet. I'm still going to suck on the toes, stuff like that.
So it's considered you have foreplay before sex, and the foreplay is foot play.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you like full on butt sex too, and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah.
All right, I can only imagine. and once we start getting into a couple of other kinks, I can only imagine how long your sexual nights last if you get into all that stuff, because they take a lot of time,
They do.
Yeah,
I will say.
Yeah. When you started your Twitter, just to get back on this for a second, did you find you had a big community that you were going to, in a way, service with you, if you will, with your messages and your retweets and all the stuff that you post on Twitter?
First off, I really didn't even know that. So I'm not a social media person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do Instagram or anything else. But when I started the Twitter account, it was just kind of a place for me to repost the porn that I liked, so I can, find it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, I noticed that what I was sharing, in my opinion, started to grow,
mm-hmm.
and immensely so. And I've had, different tweets start going viral, and that was new to me. I think it's still new to me. I'm still kind of like navigate what it is that I may want to do with
mm-hmm.
the account.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I have learned is that my account has helped, grow different people's, businesses and what they want to do in adult entertainment. So I've been kind of using it to help promote others right now.
Okay. Is Foot Fetish the main thing that comes from the Foot Fetish Poppy page, or is it more equal amounts other fetishes?
I would say it's very equal across the board. Okay. Surprisingly, I actually have a hard time finding like certain foot fetish themes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been, quite interesting, but it definitely highlights, I want to say, everything.
When you watch porn, do you get excited when, well, I can only imagine. It's not, I'll give you an example, for instance, of what I'm trying to say here. I just did a scene with Sean Duran and this model named Dylan Risder, who's a newbie, adorable, good bottom. And before the scene started, we were getting all our paperwork done and going over what we like, what we don't like, what's going to happen in the scene. And Sean Duran was like, well, I am going to start licking and sucking your feet. So if you can just make sure you wash your feet, that'd be awesome. And he's like, oh, okay, great. He was going to jump in the shower anyway. But yeah, that was not something I hear all the time. And it was cool. And especially from Sean Duran, it's always fun to like find out that some of your models that you've been working with for a while are opening up, not even opening up. I think that he's always liked feet, but it's never something that producers or studios really ask for unless you're specializing in that.
Yeah, I will definitely agree. I do think I get really excited if a scene does go into some type of like foot play, mm-hmm. even if it is just like sniffing the feet or sucking on the toes, because that is, one of my biggest fetishes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it kind of takes me for like a pleasant surprise, especially if it's a model that like I'm really into. Mm-hmm. So then it kind of like heightens the experience.
What about when you just happen to see a foot while someone's fucking somebody else in a porn scene? Is that something?
Oh, yeah, that'll definitely get me off. I think I've actually got off to, seeing a few people, get fucked missionary, mm-hmm. and then like their feet will be like perfectly shot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Isn't that crazy? We're hard we're hard at work trying to get you off with the butt sex. Meanwhile, somebody's watching the armpit, somebody's looking at the feet. Everybody's in their own world. It's amazing. It's amazing the kind of stuff that you find out.
It's definitely like everybody has their own like thing that gets them off.
Everybody has their something. That's absolutely true. You have a lot of things, don't you? from I
would say so. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say? We touched a little bit on foot fetish or foot play. What would you say? And one thing I want to preface too is our conversation about foot fetishes and stuff, foot fetishes and kinks, and I know you've mentioned this before on your page. I don't look at them as anything like, ooh, wow, like so taboo. Like, let's talk about it. Let's make it cool. It's more, you kind of meet certain people and this is how they get off, and that's all right. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And you know, there are other people that will either have their minds blown by it or blow our minds by something else. So I appreciate it. It's more about the appreciation of all these fetishes. Because, you know,
I definitely, I'm sorry.
No, please go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I definitely think that, you know, as adults, sex should not be something taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also why, like, I'm so open about my sexual interest, because I find that a lot of times people feel shame for what they're into.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if it's not hurting anybody, then you have nothing to be shamed about,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been like one of my messages that I try to share.
So with that message and with my preface, what are other things that you find are fetishes for you or kinks? One thing that I did see was you had mentioned something about farts.
Well, see, one thing that I will say is, though, I think the maybe tweet that you read was kind of like misread, because that's actually not one of my kinks.
Oh, good.
But what I will say is that I can see why people would enjoy it, because I think a lot of times our kinks and fetishes come from things being, I guess, traditionally taboo, or just being something that's dirty.
Okay.
So I think the fact that you may be in the bedroom with a guy that you find incredibly hot, and he does something like farting, which could be seen as dirty, it may turn you on a bit, because now you're kind of like in this dirty area of them. And you're also like in the heat of the moment. So it could just arouse you more, because it's like, now I'm like getting to like the nitty gritty with this man. And so I'm excited to see where he's going to take me.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I still call it Catholic guilt, call it my Latin upbringing, where you don't fart in public, you don't fart in front of anybody, you don't, you know, one of those things. But I can understand wind farts, like when you're having sex and, you know, you pull out and like a fart comes out a little bit. I even leave those in certain edits for porn, just because it's you know, it's not like this person just passed gas. It's just air releasing from the asshole. But I get,
and that's a little bit different.
Yeah, it is. It's a little different.
I was gonna say I actually enjoy that. If I'm being honest, I kind of think it's kind of hot. You know, when you're fucking somebody and you're kind of like in the mood, and you know, you can start kind of playing with your words, telling it to talk back to you, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, but my God. You know. Yeah. That's funny. So, okay. So, I misspoke about the fart play, but I'm glad that we spoke about it a little bit. Let you tell me what another one of your fetishes is that you have explored first. Let's go with that. Let's go first with some of the things that you've explored that would probably be like, oh, wow, cool.
So a few that I have explored, you know, I guess, leaning off of the foot thing is I'm a huge, so I did say that, you know, I'm a fan of like, you know, the smell of like a sweaty man. So just being around construction workers and football, I've always loved the smell of like, you know, sweaty balls, the armpits, stuff like that. Another one that I was a little bit nervous about was, you know, spit play. I do love when, you know, a man spits in my mouth during sex and vice versa. That one I was a little bit nervous about, because I wasn't sure how I was going to take it, but that was something that I fell in love with quickly. I kind of feel like I really want that during, you know, sex. But I think when it comes to the bedroom, I just like being dominated. I'm very open-minded to everyone else's kinks. I'm one of those people that will try anything once, but I think I definitely draw the line when it comes to like poop, farting, and stuff like that.
Yeah, poop, farting, blood, animals, kids, all that, like all the stuff that, you know, the legal one, the illegal ones, and the ones that are just like, oh, all right, I don't know if I can do that.
Something out of like a horror movie.
Yeah, and you know, that doesn't mean I wouldn't and I've said it before on the show, it doesn't mean I wouldn't talk to somebody who had those thoughts, not engaged,
Right.
but had those thoughts, because I think it's very important to be able to, kind of like a psychiatrist or something, be able to talk about the thoughts, not the actual crimes, if they are.
I agree.
Yeah. One other one, piss. Have you experimented with piss play?
You know what? I have.
You have.
And I actually find that really hot.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like, especially if you like being dominated, it does fall in line with the domination aspect of it.
Yeah. I once, fun fact for you, at my house, I have 8 bedrooms. So since I'd like to get into some like pretty dirty things, I never fuck in my bedroom, you know, so we could ruin the other rooms, but not mine, because that's like my sanctuary. But, you know, I find that it is pretty hot. I think I started out, right when I opened my first business, I was hooking up with a guy in our locker room. It was one of my employees, which I'm kind of notorious for, but I was hooking up with one of my employees, and I really don't know what led to us doing that. But the next thing I know, you know, he was just pissing on my face, and I was like, yeah, we got to keep going.
Hey, so, let me ask you something. Do you two-parter? Do you find that because they are your employees, like, do you treat them? I'm sure you treat them well. I'm not going to say you don't, but I'm saying, is it hot because you get to tell these guys what to do, and then eventually they get to tell you what to do?
You know what? I think so. I think that's why I like being dominated, because I feel like I'm always the person in charge. You know, a few years out of my football career, I was a quarterback, and then taking over my father's business and then expanding it into 2 more branches. You know, there's always been a lot. So I kind of like when I'm able to kind of take a back seat when it comes to sex. Now, I do love being dominant because there are things that I enjoy. But yeah, I will say I do think that plays a huge factor.
Yeah, I can see how that can be a very hot scenario on more than one occasion.
Oh, yeah.
So, any other fetishes that you have deep down inside? I know you mentioned a couple that you've tried. Any that you want to try that you have not tried yet?
Fisting.
Fisting, huh? Okay. Do you want to be the fisting bottom or the fisting top?
Both, actually.
Really? Okay. How did you discover this?
So I want to say, like, I am all about like raunchiness during sex. And a few times when you do search those scenes, you tend to go into fisting a little bit. And whenever that would come up, I think I was a little bit afraid of it at first. I would always like fast forward or change the scene. But then I'm a huge Teddy Bryce fan.
Okay.
And he would turn me on a lot. So when I started to experiment with like his fisting videos, and then it branched out into other people, and I realized it was much hotter than I thought. And yeah, I think it's from there, I just kind of wanted to try it. I don't think I've had anybody who was interested, but it's definitely like a bucket list at this point.
I think that'll be very interesting. I'd love to hear about that experience, because that's a commitment.
Oh yeah,
that's an ass commitment.
Oh yeah. So one thing I will say is I definitely think I want to be, you know, on the bottom for it first. You know, I'm always open to experimenting. So I think I would like to experience it first, just so that when I do become, I guess, you know, the top in the situation, I kind of know how it feels to not like hurt them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very, very important. Are you familiar with the work of Hunger FF?
Yes.
Yeah, I just did. I'm actually working on a mini documentary for him. I went down.
Really?
I went down to Florida. I used to work with him at Dark Alley, and
oh, okay, okay.
I went to Florida in May, and we shot a little bit of it. He just started his own studio, but also we shot a little bit more and I plan on making like a short documentary film for him. And he is a big proponent of knowing what you're doing when you're inside. It's trust. It's all built on trust. That's why it's also,
it really is. I feel like even just casual, like missionary sex, even though I can get into some really dirty things, I do feel like sex is putting yourself and another person in a very vulnerable state. So, you know, I try to make things as like mutual as possible. And if somebody isn't into something, I respect it and we'll switch it up in the bedroom. So I like to make sure that, you know, they're comfortable so I can be comfortable.
Okay. Getting into a different subject altogether, but related, of course. What kind of guys do you like? What kind of guys do you like? You find yourself following?
You know, so I don't think I have a specific body type, but I do really enjoy dark features. I really enjoy like dark hair, brown eyes. I found that I can turn my head towards, you know, facial hair or men who have body hair, but it doesn't always, you know, stick there. But I would say, I guess that would be my quote unquote type is dark features. But yeah, I think I'm kind of just into it all. If you can captivate me in some way, I'll turn my head towards you because I don't like to be bored.
Okay. That's a good answer. You know, if good personalities, sometimes, you know, sexy doesn't mean you're conventionally attractive. Sometimes you could always just be, you know, have that one thing, you know?
Right. I am a jokester, so I need the sense of humor to be there. I need the personality to be there. And I also think self-confidence is like one of the sexiest things out there. I think because I'm a very confident person myself, and I live a very fast-paced life that involves me to be around a ton of people at times. And I've been in relationships where people were not confident in themselves, and it's created a lot of problems. And yeah, it had to end pretty quickly.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, you know, always. When you say relationships where the other person's not confident, do you find yourself being the motivator, right? So you have to motivate yourself, motivate this other person, and yeah, you just don't get it.
So I do try to be very empathetic towards people, especially in the gay community. I feel like there's a lot of really bad, like, stigmas around like body types and stuff like that. And I feel like oftentimes, because I believe that I'm very well built, but then again, with my jobs and my athletic past, I kind of had no choice but to be. And so sometimes when I may be with someone who maybe isn't the same body type as me or something of that sort, they may feel inferior. I think maybe because I run in a different tax bracket, that also can make sometimes people feel like less than. And I have no problem reassuring people and being empathetic, but I find that if I have to keep, you know, reassuring and proving myself, it kind of feels like, okay, this probably is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. When I said, don't you get it? I didn't mean that in a certain way. I meant it more like it could be vice versa, honestly. Like either you don't get it or they don't get it. Like I've come to the point in certain relationships in life after a certain point where you can talk to your blue in the face. And I've heard this said so many times by so many different people and never really understood it until I've gotten to this point where you can be talking to somebody and, you know, try to repeat the same things over and over again. And then just one day just be like, okay, well, this person is never going to get it and they never will. And that's, you know, and, you know, you kind of have to walk away from that or do what you will with the relationship. But yeah, that's,
I will say I've experienced some pretty crazy things in my relationships, you know, so I definitely try to make sure that whoever I'm with just knows from, you know, the jump. This is who I am. This is how I am. This is what they expect if you're with me. And I'm even open about, you know, my sexual past and what I'm into sexually, because I like to put it all on the line if I'm really interested in that person, just so that they know who I am. And now the ball is in their court. because so there is currently a trend, I feel like, in the gay community of like open relationships and stuff like that,
Okay.
which I don't bash at all. You know, like it is what it is. You do you. But for me, that's not who I am. I'm not really into into cheating, into having different romantic partners.
Mm-hmm.
And that also has presented like an issue too.
That's very refreshing. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I did see that you tweeted about that. And yeah, it's not really a take that you get from a lot of people in the gay community. So yeah.
Oh yeah. One thing I will say is that I feel like my time, well, this is all new to me, if I'm being honest. I really don't go to like gay clubs or bars. And it's not because I want to, or I feel like, oh, I'm just not like other gays, in that sense. Mm-hmm. But I've never really been interested in, the partying scene. So I feel like I'm a little bit different, but being on social media and now having this community, it has opened my eyes to a lot of things that go on. And so it was all new to me, if I'm being honest. I feel like I'm still trying to navigate this whole world that I didn't even know existed.
Mm. Let me ask you something. Do you have, I detect a little bit of an accent somewhere in there. Did you spend some time somewhere?
So I actually have dual citizenship in France.
Okay.
So my mother is French. That's where I was born. But we came back to the United States. And yeah, so I speak French as well.
Okay.
And yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, no, there was, I was listening and I'm like, oh, there's an accent here. I like it. So I figured I'd ask.
Well, thank you.
No worries. Any other fetishes that I can probably take off of your mind or pick your brain about?
I'm honestly not too sure. I think I may have listed them all.
Have you seen? Oh, actually, what's the weirdest one? And again, not bashing it, but for you, who considers yourself very open sexually, what is one? And aside from the ones that we consider the no-goes already,
yeah.
What is one of the ones that you're just like, okay, I'm probably not going to want to do that, just because I don't get it.
Right off the top of my head, I really don't know, I guess, the exact phrasing for it, but I've seen where people who enjoy being choked kind of like have this passing out type of moment.
Okay, yeah.
And that's actually been something that is very, I want to say, just casual to some. But to me, in my mind, I don't really get the like lust or sex appeal over that.
Yeah.
And I actually have a friend who is into it, and he used a phrase for it, but I forget. And he says he enjoys having his like life in the hands of another man that he finds hot. But to me, it's just kind of like, that's not really what I get in the bedroom for. So
yeah, it's not really a life-threatening situation, or should it be?
Yeah, but apparently it's a very common fetish.
Yeah. Well, auto asphyxiation, right? That's when people do it to themselves. But I guess this would be positional asphyxiation. I don't know what you would call that, but
yeah, I feel like the term for it is very similar to what you just said. But yeah, I just forget because it's not really something I ever look into. That's actually something that I didn't even know would be something that could turn others on.
Oh yeah, it's. I gotta tell you, Iris, the list goes on and on. I've been researching like crazy over the past couple of years because when I started the podcast, I met so many fascinating people that were doing such crazy things. Not crazy, but like they were doing stuff that was so different. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of fun. This looks like cool. This looks like it's cool. The foodies are for me are the ones that I don't know if I can get into. And by that, I mean, there are people who get off on sitting on pies. There are people who love spaghetti on their heads or all over their body. I just, the cleanup would just kill me.
It's funny you say that because I think the same way. So I would be like, You know,
Yeah, are we going to your
I
place?
just got off. Now I got to go shower.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I have a thing with being sticky too. Like if you drop
Really?
a drink and your hands get sticky together, that's a nightmare to me. So,
So one thing I will say is that when it comes to fetishes of that sort,
mm-hmm.
I don't think I could ever do it. For one, so I just said being sticky. I cannot stand the smell of maple syrup. And that's always like huge in like that type of community. And so I think I would be just so turned off, you know, by maple syrup. So, and I've had a few partners who have, you know, they pour like maple syrup on my dick and try to suck it off. And, you know, it was hot, but at the same time, I was like, kind of plug my nose so I don't smell like the maple syrup. So, yeah.
It's so thick. Like it's of all the syrups to pour on there. I mean, well, chocolate syrup can be a little thick too, but
yeah, you know, I'm a fan. You know, I guess I will say like I'm a fan of, you know, I guess like caramel. Like I've done that many times before.
Okay.
I have done the fruit roll up, you know, thing that was going around where you like wrap like a fruit roll up around a man's dick and suck it till it dissolves.
I have not. Okay.
Yeah, that was like a trend going on. I just wanted to try it, but I wouldn't really say like I'm into like really many food fetishes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's still a world that I have never really explored. I think another thing that kind of strikes me as surprising is, you know, people like take a paddle to their balls.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I spoke to somebody about that last season. Ball busting.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it's called. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to ball busting, I've never really been into that. Actually, it kind of terrifies me. I feel like it might be kind of hot, but I'd be a little scared.
It's from I spoke to another he was he had a Twitter handle and he had OnlyFans page or just for fans, I can't remember right now, but he was a ball buster and he said he grew up, one of the things that made it more tolerable is that he grew up in an all boys school. So, you know, that game that you play when you see another friend and you tap their dick or they tap their balls, he said that would happen a lot and that's where it came from. And then eventually he just like developed a tolerance to that. And little by little, he kept going. And,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I asked him about the health, the safety and health when it comes to that stuff of your balls, because, you know, they are your balls. And, I would say they're very, like you kind of want to keep them safe, you know, the family jewels.
Yeah.
You kind of want to keep them safe. And he's researched all of it and, you know, they can last or take a lot of pain or, be put under enormous pressure and still be fine. So, it's interesting. It's not for me.
Wow. Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me. I don't think I'll be trying it, but that's good to know.
Yeah,
so.
just like the maple syrup is not for me because it's a little it's too much of an expensive fetish in my opinion. What is it, like $22 for a little quart of organic maple syrup?
You know, yeah, and it's crazy because, you know, when it comes to people with food fetishes, they do spend a lot on having like quality food, which is something that was interesting to me. But I mean, I guess it makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, true. I only want good things on my body. You know, that. Oh yeah. That whole
I mean, if you put like quality skincare, I guess.
Yeah. So. Yeah. You're right. Oh boy. All right. Eris, I have to tell you, I appreciate, how do you feel, by the way? Cause I know we started off and you were a little nervous and stuff. And,
you know, I feel very good.
Good.
You know, I will say that it was much less nerve-wracking than I thought. I think just because I'm so new to kind of being, not necessarily in the spotlight, but having like a community like this where people are listening to what I have to say. I think that was what was making me nervous at first. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's actually an honor to have you ask me to be here. So I'm very happy.
Oh, well, I mean, you had mentioned you watched porn, you had this Twitter account, the foot fetish thing. Like I said, it was interesting to me. And I feel like, I come across so many pages on Twitter and there are only a couple that I say, hold on a second, I want to hear what this guy has to say. Because it's very, a lot of times I talk to models that I've worked with. I reach out to a lot of models that I have not worked with. However, I like their stuff. And then it's just, people that are in the community or have their own communities and stuff and let me in or let me kind of listen to what they have to say or have them share on the podcast. So I absolutely appreciate that. And with this community that you have now, is there anything that you would want them to know on this community for Foot Fetish Poppy?
I think if I could deliver one message is just to remember that there is a life outside of social media. Mm-hmm. I think that when it comes to us as gay men, we can tend to be consumed by trends that we see online and, just how we should be looking and how a relationship should be. But I think that is perfectly fine to build a life outside of social media.
Very good message. Very awesome message, especially today. No, too. And you had mentioned, I read in one of your messages, your message of love too, that everybody deserves love and be a little more loving.
Oh, yeah. I think that everyone does deserve love and understanding. And I think that the same love and understanding that we give other people, we should also grant to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because without even thinking about it, we open ourselves up to a lot of scrutiny. And I mean, even like myself, with this community comes a lot of hate mm-hmm. that is all new to me as well. And so it really goes to show what other people could be going through and the messages that people get just because people feel comfortable online, hiding behind a profile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, shoot, Eris, I have to thank you very much. I had a great time.
I will say, yeah, it did feel very casual. I really enjoyed it. I feel like you're a very personable person. So I think that definitely, aided me. It eased me a bit. So
thank you. That's how I feel like this is how you approach a conversation like this and that's what it is. It's an absolute conversation between the both of us. You're giving just as much as I am. And then we put it out there and we see what happens.
Oh yeah. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much. Guys, for those of you listening, Eris has, he goes under @Foot Fetish Poppy on Twitter. And check it out. He's got a great page. He posts a lot of porn that he loves and a lot of good wisdom. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped you get off. Cheers.